as I was saying, persuasion starts with arguments or reasons why we should or shouldn't do something, or reasons why we should or shouldn't feel this way, or promote this, or vote for this person, or buy this particular item, okay? You need to have arguments or reasons. That's where we start. But after that, we have to support those reasons. We have to provide evidence, okay? So that's going to be our next step. The evidence would be things like finding information. Let's say you're going to, I've used this before. Let's say you're going to buy a car, and you go into the buying the car with an idea of what you want, maybe, right? You should, okay? What kind of a car are you looking for? What can you pay for the car? Are you buying it? Do you plan on buying it outright? And if so, how much money do you have to spend on the car? Or are you going to make payments on the car? Okay. Have you checked to see what kind of insurance you're going to have to pay monthly for the car? Or are your parents taking care of it if you're still in high school? Are your parents taking care of the insurance for you? Are they helping you with the payments? And then you probably need to consider how good a gas mileage it gets. And is it a car that's useful in the snow, or is it going to be dangerous in the snow? The coolest little car, I mean, I'd love to have a tiny little convertible. That would be awesome. You know, like Pontiac used to have. Pontiac doesn't exist anymore, but they came out with a convertible line before they stopped the whole Pontiac line, that I just thought they were the cutest little things. But is it practical in Indiana, in northern Indiana, in this kind of weather that we get? In the summer, sure. But what?
Not as a daily.
No. And especially since I don't have a garage to keep it in the winter. Okay. And getting it over the snow, getting it through the snow would be really difficult. So when I bought a new car, sure, those are appealing, but I went with something larger that I knew I could drive through the snow. I now have a car with all-wheel drive. I wanted something with pretty good gas mileage. And I also had to consider that sometimes I haul around costumes and props for shows. And so I need something that has the capacity to do that, okay? So we consider all of those things. Now, I did get a moonroof again. I really like having a moonroof. So it's it's a sunroof, but they call one type is called I'm not really sure what the difference is. I know my moonroof slides back, and it will also tilt up.
So you can get wind in there.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Okay. All right. But we consider all of those things. So we need to look at the facts. Does this get good gas mileage? Well, here's the kind of gas mileage it gets. It's got the all-wheel drive. That's another thing that you look at. What are the safety ratings? You look at those statistics. Put the phones away. I see at least 3 of you with phones out right now. Okay. So we want to look further at those things. All right. And not just impulsively go buy something. We have to look at the evidence. Is this the right vehicle for us if we're buying a car? Okay. So we want to look at the evidence. So when we're putting together a speech, a persuasive speech especially, we want to make sure that we provide evidence for it. If you're going to tell us that we need to stop using and buying big packs of bottled water in plastic bottles, tell us the reasons why, and then show us the information that backs up those reasons. Like plastic is bad for our environment, that it's polluting our oceans, that and give us the statistics on that, okay? If you're going to tell us that we shouldn't be vaping, give us the reasons why, and give us the statistics to back those up, okay? So we talked about a little bit yesterday that there are in persuasion, we have 3 different types of appeals. That's where the persuasion comes in. We use appeals. We have logic appeals, we have emotional appeals, and then we have personal appeals. It's all about your credibility. So we're going to take some notes over these different types of appeals so we can look at them a little deeper. I need you to open up elements of persuasion, or it says persuasive notes. Okay, it's on Canvas. And we're going to look at those things a little deeper. You need to fill this out as we go. Oh, come on. And I would also like you to be thinking about a persuasive topic, because we're going to be starting those persuasive speeches soon, like by the end of the week. Okay, yours said you need persuasion note sheet. I'm going to open up the persuasive note slides, and tomorrow I'll have that open for anybody who was absent. Okay, so look at persuasion note sheet and open that up. Okay, so here's what persuasion does, and this is kind of a, wow, that's really big. Huh. Okay, so persuasive speaking demands that you effectively induce your audience to believe as you do and influence your audience in order to cause some sort of directed action to take place. Yes.
What's the name? It says
Persuasion note sheet.
no, like it says speech notes perceived. Is that the name?
Your name. You don't have to put your name in, because it was a worksheet that I had that I would normally print out, or I used to print out. Now I put it on Canvas. Okay. So you have to induce your audience to believe as you do and influence them to cause some sort of direct action. Actually, it could be one or the other. Sometimes a persuasive speech is just ask to believe something that you do. Okay? Maybe you're going to convince us that Bigfoot exists. Okay? Maybe that's what you're persuading. Here's my evidence. Here are my reasons why I believe Bigfoot is real. And so you're not asking them to go out and hunt Bigfoot. I suppose you could. But you're asking them to believe. Or maybe that you believe that aliens have already visited this planet. Okay, I'm using some wild topics there. But please do not come up with a speech where they're telling us that the earth is flat. Okay? You can try to convince me that aliens are out there and that Bigfoot might exist, but
Why not?
it is not. Okay. All right. So this is what persuasion is: convincing us to either think a certain way or to do something. All right. Do we have this? No? Yes? No? Okay. Sorry. Okay. I still that Matthew McConaughey commercial from the Super Bowl where he was flat. That was just weird.
What happened?
Creepy.
What do you mean?
He was flat. He was two-dimensional. You didn't see it? You haven't seen it?
Was it funny looking?
Yes, it was very funny looking and a little creepy. He's like walking around just flat,
I'm
man.
gonna have to look that up. That's
Yeah.
funny.
It was weird. It was very weird. Okay, anybody still typing this? We're all done? All right, so here's the next part. We need to talk about different audiences when it comes to persuasion, okay? Audiences should be all, what? I don't understand why this is so big. So your audience types, you've got 4. You can only see, there you go. All right. You have 4 different types of audiences. when it comes to persuasion. The first audience is called the supportive audience. They are friendly, they are easy to talk to. They are the audience that is either there because they believe in you or they're on your side of whatever it is you're trying to convince us of. Okay? They're already on your side. They believe in the topic or they believe in you. Okay? So they're very friendly. They're on your side. Here's what you have to be careful of, though, with the supportive audience, that they don't get bored. If a speaker is telling you the same things over and over again about something you believe in, no matter how hard you believe in it, you can still get bored with it and lose interest. So that's what you have to think about and consider when you are when you're looking at this supportive audience. Bring up the topic in a new way. I mean, maybe you're talking about the same thing over and over again, but see if you can approach it in a different way. Bring something new to it so you keep that audience interested. Okay. The second audience is the uncommitted audience. They are a neutral audience. Here's the thing. They are interested in the subject or they're interested in you, could be both, but they haven't made up their mind one way or the other yet. They need to be convinced, okay? They're there to be convinced, and this type of audience, you want to be logical. You want to provide them with good, strong evidence. That's what's going to sway them, okay? So they're there because they're interested in the subject usually, but they haven't decided one way or the other yet, and you need to do a good job of convincing them to your side because, and you do that with evidence, with statistics, with facts, okay? The third audience is the indifferent audience. They're apathetic. They're indifferent because they were probably forced to be there. They have no interest in you or the subject matter, but they were forced to go to this, whether it was they're taking a class and their professor required them to go to this, or think about, I mean, we haven't had them in a year, but think about when we have convocations at school and you have a guest speaker. Sure, you like the idea that you're out of class, but how many of you are typically interested in what's being talked about? Often you could care less. That's the type of audience this is. I'm going to give you an example of this too. There was a teacher, and this is in your textbook, this example is, there was a teacher who had a group of students who were less than the best of his students. They could care less about being in school or graduating. All they wanted to do was get out of school and get a job and buy a car. Okay? He was trying and trying and trying to get them to understand that they needed to do better in school to get all of those things that they wanted, to be more successful. But anything he said, they were just like, yeah, whatever, you know. So he finally decided, okay, I'm going to bring some people in from the outside, see if they can convince these kids that they need to be working harder in school. So here's what he did. He brought in somebody from a car dealership, a salesman or manager, someone who knew all the details of buying a car and how much money you were going to need and all of this. Brought in a business owner from the community that was up on what the jobs were that were available and what the requirements were for those jobs and how much money you could make based on what you could do or what kind of education you had. And he also brought in, there was one more person, maybe it was insurance or something like, I don't know. Maybe it was two people about work. But when they talked to the students and said, okay, if you want to buy this particular car, here's how much money you're going to have each month to pay for it. And here's how much you're going to have to pay for the gas for it. And here's how much money you're going to have to pay on the insurance and the upkeep. Oh, the other person was about like life skills in general. What do you need? You know, telling them how much an apartment or a house and mortgages and things like that, telling them about expenses. So then the person who told them about how much money they needed for, like, if you're gonna, because you leave high school, you leave college, you should be out on your own with a job in your own household, right? That's usually the goal. Your parents don't necessarily want to take care of you for the rest of your life, okay? So you want to be a responsible adult. So the next person told them, okay, guys, here's how much money typically you would have to spend for housing in this area and for food each week and for your other expenses like the cost of your cell phone if you've got if you want to have Wi-Fi at your house and cable and things like this. Here's how much your monthly expenses are going to be. And then the person who is there in the business world and employed people and knew the job market for the area said, okay, if you do not have your high school diploma, here's typically what kind of job you can find and how much money you're going to make each week and each month. Okay? If you have your high school diploma, here's what you can expect. If you get some kind of a trade skill, here's what you can expect. If you get a college degree or some kind of trade vocational, because guys, not everybody needs to go to college, but you're going to make more money if you have either a degree of some kind or some kind of vocational training. They need skilled workers, welding, construction, plumbing, electric. All of these areas require some training. Sometimes it's on the job training. But this person said, okay, here's what you can expect to make. Once they understood, if they just quit school and went out and got a job right now, typically they were not going to find a job to make the kind of money they want, okay? And they got it finally from other people. We can tell you those things. I can tell you those things over and over again, but are you going to listen to me or are you going to listen to your parents? Not as much for some reason. You'll listen to other people, okay? So that's what he did with this indifferent, apathetic audience. He appealed to them what they were really concerned about. This is what it's going to take. And they understood, okay?
And they started paying.
And they worked harder in school. Yeah, decided, okay, maybe I want to do this. Because guys, again, not everybody has to go to college and get a degree. And quite frankly, college is incredibly expensive right now. I mean, I'll just tell you, I'll be honest with you, I am very thankful. Sure, I'd like to be younger again. I mean, I'm 57, but I'm really glad I went through college at a time where it wasn't nearly as expensive. I just cannot imagine what that would be like. But there, if that is what you want to do, that's great. Do everything you can to get some scholarships or grants or whatever you have to do. Look for those things. If you want to go into a trade program, guys, most of you are sophomores. You're going to be scheduling your classes next year, junior and senior year. You're eligible for vocational programs. Look into those. We have a lot of good vocational programs. Doing my little pitch here for your classes and things in your future. Look into those programs. They're good programs. You can go out, if you're not interested in going to college or anything like that. Sometimes a lot of these programs, you can go straight out of high school with a skill and get a good job, okay? So you have to figure out what your options, what you want. All right, and the last type of audience is the opposed audience. They are hostile to you and what you are proposing because either one, they don't like you, or two, they are on the opposite side of what you're talking about, what you're there to convince them of. So here's what you have to do with this type of audience. You need to go in with the idea that you need to be careful that you do not offend them. That's the first thing. You need to kind of disarm them, maybe with some humor. You need to acknowledge, you have to acknowledge that you have differences, that you have a different opinion than most of them do, and that it's okay. And guys, you also go in with the idea that you're probably not going to convince them completely over to your side, but if you can get them to listen to you, you've got a little victory there. That's how you need to approach it. You acknowledge, say, look, I know we have differing opinions. We're on opposite sides of this issue. All I'm asking for you today is for you to listen to our side of it. Okay? And you never, ever insult the other side. You don't call them stupid. Well, you can't. You're not going to convince people that way. All you're going to do is turn them off and make them even more objective to or opposed to what you have to say. So you come in with an open mind also and say, look, we have different views on this. I respect your views on this. I respect that you have a right to a differing opinion. I would like you to listen to our side. And then you present it. Ashley, put that away. You present it in a logical fashion. Okay? Present them with logic, with evidence. Don't say you're stupid if you think this way, or anybody that believes this is an idiot, or yeah, we can't. We have to be very careful. Okay? Our country is made up of people of a variety of opinions. That's great. What we have to do is be able to work together and to listen and realize that and recognize that we do have differing opinions, and that's okay as long as we all work together toward a common goal. Okay? But we cannot offend them. That's what you have to be careful of. There was an example in your textbook about she was a girl who was a student body president for her high school, and she was asked to go to the opposing high school, their rivals, and speak. Okay, and she was heckled a bit, but she disarmed them with some humor and said, I get it. We're rivals here but I admire so much about your school, and I just want to say that I'm here today to talk about the things we have in common. And then she said something like, and I hope one of you will catch me if I faint, because I'm a little scared to be up here. Imagine our student body president going and speaking at Judson. How would they treat her? Not good?
Not
What about if Judson's student body president came over here to speak? Okay, see? That's definitely an opposed audience, so we have to be careful with that. Okay, what time is it? Okay. All right, so you know what? We'll finish these tomorrow. Can you save that, or go ahead and submit them and you can resubmit them, right? I think it's set up so you can resubmit them. All right, so we'll finish these notes tomorrow. Okay. All right. All right. You guys are free to exit. We're going to finish these notes tomorrow.